Hello, my name is Debo Adejana, the MD/CEO of Realty Point Limited, and I consider myself a real estate entrepreneur. This is Real Estate Business with Debo Adejana, and you are welcome. It's my pleasure to always host you here. Now, in this episode, we'll be talking about, is home ownership a good investment? I hear a lot of people ask this question, and I'll be glad to chip in some of my own opinion as to whether owning a house is a good investment or not. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, we're talking about, is owning a home a good investment? Is home ownership a good investment? I think it was Mandela that was quoted to have said that a man is not a man until he owns the roof over his head. Such a deep saying. I know a lot of people disagree, and I must be quite frank with you. There are instances where it may not really be particularly of any importance if you are not the owner of the roof over your head. But I'm going to explain. If you know us, we are the owners of the trademark Sack Your Landlord. And that's because we believe that it is very important that everyone should own a piece of property. I mean, if you watch any of our prior episodes, there's been one episode I can remember, I talked majorly about why it is important for someone to own a piece of property. It's very important. Now, the argument against it is usually that it costs a lot of money and headache to own a piece of property. And at the end of the day, what do you get for it? It also gives you problem because you now have ownership duties, ownership obligations that you may not have to necessarily worry about when you are renting. Now, let's take it one after the other. Some other people say it doesn't make economic sense, that it's far cheaper to rent, than to own. Well, if your rental model is one of these innovative ones, cooperative housing rental model kind of, which is not really renting and not totally ownership, but it's something like hybrid of the two, and is a fantastic model, especially that is situation specific. In the situations where it is needed, it has worked excellently well, and I'm an advocate of it where it matters. But I tell you that generally, you need to own a piece of property. Now, a lot of people who actually put this argument forward, you must realize that they are mostly real estate investors, or real estate entrepreneurs. So they are making money from not owning properties, from not owning probably properties or owning the property that they stay in. And so their argument, which is very valid, is about, hey, the money that I would use or tie down in the property that I stay, I can also use that as my working capital because I'm in the business of real estate. So I buy properties, I put it out for rent, or I build properties and resell it. So this is my business. And right now, the volume that I do does not warrant me tying a whole lot of money. The money I would tie down buying my property will still make a lot of impact if I use it on my business. So it's not the right time for me yet. They say that a lot, and I quite understand that. Some would also say that, hey, it affords me the opportunity to be freely, to really be able to move around freely, because once you buy a piece of property, you are more or less tucked, at least for some time, they say. And there is some truth in that argument. But I would explain further and tell you how that you should not look at that very much, especially if you are in an environment like Nigeria, third world country, mortgage issues, ownership challenges. If you don't seize the opportunity in the particular time of your life, it may be difficult to seize the opportunity thereafter. I mean, I was once quoted as saying that if you are not a landlord by 40, or you don't know, it's not clear how you want to become a landlord to you by 40. Maybe you are not one yet, but it's clear to you and you are probably working out the plan as to how to own, then it may be difficult and extremely difficult for you to own a property in your lifetime. And I still stand by that saying, sincerely, in our own environment. Why? Okay, so I tell you what, if I'm in business, number one thing that we tell people about owning homes or sacking landlords is that, hey, you do that only after your source of income has been stabilized. So it only makes sense if real estate property is my business and I'm trying to build my working capital before having to spend on my own. And I must tell you, that is exactly what I did myself, the proponent of Sack Your Landlord. Because real estate is my business. I had to work my capital, the funds that I have, the funds that the business that I run, that we control, I had to work it sufficiently enough to a point that I can then afford the property of my own. But before this time, I had investment properties that I wasn't staying in, landed properties or built properties that I wasn't staying in, but just generating, maybe co-owned with people or singularly owned, okay, that I was enjoying some interest from. I was being paid investment income. I was getting some investment income from. I had all of those before I owned my property where I stay as a home. Okay? So I totally support that, because ab initio, we don't even advise anyone to go into housing matters if your business, the source of livelihood, your source of livelihood is not stabilized yet. Build yourself a business, then build yourself a home. That's what even the good book said. Okay? That's what the good book says. Build yourself a business and then build yourself a home. And that is still the theory. So, taking that out of it, so that shouldn't be an argument for someone that is not in real estate business. What you should be asking yourself is my business stabilized? Is my source of income okay? Can I afford this home? Okay? And I tell people also, because of our environment, you can always buy forward. Always have the intention to buy forward. That helps you to negate the possibilities of being tied down in the place. So because, the place I was able to acquire back in the day is Songwater. So I say, hey, Songwater is where I will spend the rest of my life. No, you don't have to do that. You can buy forward. You can create what they call housing mobility or housing career. Okay? Mobility of housing or housing career. You can create that, meaning that you can move from one cadre of housing to another. So you could afford Songwater today. You can move from Songwater to Agege. That's advancement. Okay? Or to Abule Egba. That's advancement. You can move from there to maybe some close area to Ikeja, Ogba, or things like that. Move into Ikeja. That's a good one. And if you are the type that wants to move to the island and all of that, you can move from there to Atoni, to Maryland, to the island, if that's where you want to stay, Lekki, Oniru, anywhere you want to. But you see, the fact that you've started from from Songwater gives you the opportunity, the ability, and makes the probability of your buying forward, okay, much more improved. Because you can then sell when this property appreciates and move your funds into a better property further down. Yeah, it may be a smaller property, it may be a bigger property, depending on how real estate pricing goes. But I've seen people who bought forward and have moved from one part of town, okay, to some of the prime areas of town. I've seen that happen in a space of about 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I've seen people move that way. So you need not be tied down. Just buy what is convenient for use at the time. And remember, like I've always said, your first house, you need not stay there, and it need not be your last house. I always say this. Your first house, you need not stay there, and it need not be your last house. So that is that. Because you must realize that housing or ownership of housing is a major thing. Housing need is a major thing. And if you don't solve it with a permanent solution, something close to a permanent solution, but you are just using palliative measure like rent, what of when your income ceases? Maybe at retirement. How will you be able to easily service heavy rents? Because a lot of people that now do this, even the rent they can't afford when they must have retired. So they move even far away from the middle of town and go elsewhere, back of town, where rent is more affordable. And even that, sometimes they struggle to pay. So you don't want to do that. You want to make hay while the sun shines. While you are in the prime of your life, doing business, getting income, you want to invest it properly to secure your future. Okay? It helps. It's a retirement plan. I must tell you that you must approach housing acquisition, okay, as a retirement plan, especially if you are in this part of town. Beyond investment, you may not be interested in housing investment, but you must be interested in the quality of life you live after retirement, okay? And if rental is still what you are dealing with, it may become a headache because your cash flow may not be as when you were working, or you may have to be forced to work till you drop dead for money. That is not a good place to be, okay? So you want to consider that. I hope you also know that owning a property adds to your net worth. And if you really are conscious about building wealth, you should be looking at adding that into your portfolio. So I tell people, renting is not what you should be looking at as a permanent solution. Everybody would have to start from renting. I mean, let's say most people will have to start from renting. I agree with that totally. But we don't all have to end up renting all through our lives. So I tell you that you should rent. Okay? Rent when you can, whilst you can, while starting. But as you rent, think about home ownership, especially immediately you stabilize your source of income. And start buying small with the mind of buying forward. Okay? Buy forward. You won't be screwed or tied to a location that way. So that is still it as my argument and position. And I tell you, there is nothing still like sacking your landlord. When you want to build wealth, you want to have a comfortable retirement, you want to ensure that you enjoy the quality of life that you live. What to do is not to keep renting, is to what? Sack your landlord. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. It's been my pleasure. It's always my pleasure bringing this. And please, if you enjoyed the video, I would encourage you to click on the like button. Let's know that you enjoyed it. If you have any questions for us or you want to reach us for anything whatsoever, feel free to contact us. Pass your comments at the comment section below the video. The comment section below the video. We have a free book for you. Please take that opportunity. Click, give us your details, your email, and we'll send the free book to you. It's an audio book. I personally read it in the studio myself, okay? And it's a very, very good book that would help you understand more of why real estate is important and how you can get into it. I also shared some fantastic Nigerian stories of real estate and people that have done real estate investment and business in the past. Some of them dead now, okay? I shared those stories, authentic stories. Please, I would encourage you to get it. Share this information. Let your friends know that there is such a YouTube channel that dishes out quality real estate information and education every time, okay? Please let them know. And click on if you've not subscribed, subscribe please. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell. What that does is that whenever we push out a video, you'll be one of the first to know. It's always my pleasure once again. And I hate to say that this is the end of it for this episode, But then I'm happy because I know that next episode we will be meeting again. I remain yours sincerely, Debo Adejana, in the business of helping you sack your landlord. Thank you.